First of all, we're going to do a little team training and mentorship. We're going to be diving into mindset, daily habits a little bit here this evening. Your mindset is what gets you excited. It's what gets you kind of in the door, right? It's the spark, and then your daily habits are ultimately what ignites the flame. So we're going to be talking about that here this evening. 6 o'clock tonight, we've got our Welcome Wednesday. So we're going to get into some getting started training as well. So we encourage you, if you have some new team members that have recently joined you, then definitely make sure that they're on that 6 o'clock call tonight. Of course, they're welcome to be here also. So we've got our No Borders APL Planet event coming up here next month. You can see that you can purchase tickets now in your back office. What are the dates on it? I think it's November, I can't read it right here, but November 11th. And it'll last for 4 days. There are going to be a lot of exciting announcements, really cool things that they're going to be introducing. So if you haven't already purchased your ticket, you can do so in your back office. You can go over to our Facebook group, the kind of corporate page, Go USA, and get more details about that particular event. Also, over on Business for Home today, if you didn't see it, there was a great article posted about APLGo today. Encourage you guys to check that out. We have it posted in some of the team pages. Here it is right here. Let me show it to you. Just some great ammunition, great information. What I'm doing with this, and I've done it several times today, is I've followed up with prospects that have not yet given me a decision. You know, one of the things that I always do with prospects that are in the process, sorry, I'm looking to pull this up here. One of the things that I love to do with prospects that are in process that have not yet given me a decision. Remember, the ultimate goal as a network marketing professional is to move people from one exposure to the next in as shortest period of time as possible, with the ultimate goal to be able to collect a decision, right? We as network marketers, we do really 4 key things. You know, if we had a job description, if somebody broke down what is it that you do, we do 4 key things. Number 1, we notify people of what we're up to. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2 is we invite them to take a closer look. So we notify people of what we're up to. We invite them to take a closer look. Number 3 is we follow up. We answer questions. And how do we do that? A lot of times we just use third-party tools. We move them from, you know, maybe the ATM groups to a presentation, and then from the presentation to the next exposure tool. And then finally, the 4th thing is to collect decisions, right? So those are the 4 main responsibilities of a network marketing professional. We notify people of what we're up to. We invite them to take a closer look. We follow up and collect decisions. And then we finally, and ultimately, we collect decisions. We follow up and answer questions and collect decisions. So I used this today. I reached out to a number of people that have not yet given me a decision. And I just said, hey, listen, APLGo's in the news today. I don't know if you've heard, but we've now moved up to number 22 on the momentum charts. Number 22 meaning that one of the top 22 momentum companies in the entire world. Business for Home, in fact, published this article today. I just thought you might be interested in taking a closer look. And so I use that as just a means to get back in front of them again. A lot of really good information here, and forward that off to them. So if you haven't seen this yet, you can go over to the businessforhome.org page and access that information. So that is all I've got for you for announcements. Let's go ahead and jump right in here this evening. Let me stop sharing. So let me ask you guys a question. How many of you guys have, you know what you need to do? You know, you know the ins and outs of, or the idea, you know, what you really should be doing, that there's 21. Thank you, Aaron, up to 21 now. I love that. So we jumped another position. That's good. How many of you sometimes know what you need to do, but you just struggle to get yourself motivated, right? Denny, is that you? Tell me why. Denny, just tell me what is that? What do you mean by that?
I don't even know. It's like letting life get in the way. Knowing that I need to get on and I need to make phone calls and stuff like that, or I need to send out, do my text messaging system and everything else, and just not doing it. you know. And I thought about that today actually, and I think part of it is I was thinking about this, not to go too long, but I remember I asked a client of mine years ago in the weight loss industry. I said, and she was having a lot of trouble, and I said, you can't picture yourself ever being thin, can you? She had been heavy her whole life. And she goes, no, I can't. And I think that's it. I'm having trouble picturing myself being where you are.
Okay. Well, that's good, and that's not good. I appreciate you sharing that, because that's actually what we're going to be diving into tonight, is really kind of getting into that mindset a little bit. talking a little bit about getting motivated when you don't necessarily feel like it, or you maybe have a roadblock or a barrier, something that's keeping you from moving forward. So we're going to be jumping into that here this evening. There's really 4 key things that you need to succeed in business. There's really 4 key things that you need to succeed in business, right? So the first thing is you've got to have the right mindset, right? If you don't have the right mindset, you're going to get stuck in quicksand. Either your mindset is ultimately going to, you've heard the term, you don't get what you want, you get what you believe, right? So we have to analyze our belief system a little bit. We have to really analyze why do we believe certain things. So that's number 1 is you've got to have the right mindset, the entrepreneurial mindset, that $1 million mindset. Number 2, and you have to work on that every day. We'll talk a little bit more about each one of these individually. Then you have to have the right skill set, right? You've got to have the right skill set. You can be a believer, you can be motivated, you can be excited, but if you don't have the right skill sets to be successful in this business, then you're going to struggle a little bit. And that takes time and that takes practice. And that's why we do these trainings. And there's different resources that are available to you. That's why we recommend reading books like Go Pro. Eric Worre does a great job of breaking down the key skills that you need to be successful in business, contacting, inviting, and following up and promoting events and, the key skills of this business. And then the third thing that you need is you need a supportive community. You've got to have a supportive community. Why is this so important? I learned long ago, when community and culture align, that's when momentum occurs. When community and culture align, that's when momentum occurs. And, supportive community is so important, especially for people when they're just getting started in this business. When Summer and I first got started in network marketing, Danny, I was no different than you. We were in the same position where I remember the first event that I went to, I sat in the back of the room. I, watched all these top leaders that walked up there on stage and I was kind of like, oh man, I don't know if I'll ever be one of those guys. And in my mind at the time, I thought, oh, they must've got lucky. They were in the right place at the right time. And, I made all these excuses, and those excuses were really to justify why I hadn't really gotten to the top yet, is what I ultimately realized. But in the beginning, my belief system wasn't there yet. And so it was so important for me to get around this supportive community and stay plugged in. I always say, I call it the campfire effect, right? It's cold outside and you are, sitting around a fire, what happens is it gets colder and colder as the evening goes on. If you're sitting around the fire, what do people do? You notice that they start getting a little bit closer to the fire, right? And in the network marketing industry, in this business, in the beginning stages, you want to stay as close to the fire as you possibly can. Those leaders, those encouragers, people that are going to lift you up, the dreamers, right? The people that believe in you, the people that are going to share their excitement and their enthusiasm with you. We are in the business of contagious enthusiasm. That's the business that we are in. And so you want to stay as close to them as possible. And so when people come into the business, they don't have this big belief system yet. They came into the business because they liked the idea of building a part-time business. It sounds great that they might be able to build an extra income stream. Yeah, the likelihood of, they would love to be able to develop their financial freedom, but their belief isn't there yet. So you've got to get them plugged in, and you've got to take that responsibility as a network marketer to stay plugged in, right? Because your belief is either going one way or the other. It's either going down or it's going up. It never stays still. So in the beginning, you got to make sure that you're staying plugged in. So we've got to provide a supportive community of like-minded encouragers. And number 4 is you've got to be willing to do the work, right? You've got to be willing to do the work. It's called network marketing, right? It's not called net hope marketing. It's not called net get lucky marketing. It's called network marketing. You got to be willing to do the work. And if you do those 4 things, then ultimately you're going to be able to be successful in this business. Or if you have those 4 things, so you've got to have those 4 things. You've got to have the right mindset. And just so you guys know, mindset is something that you're constantly working on. We've talked a lot about how there's good days and there's bad days in this business. You've got to have the right mentality from the very beginning. You've got to have an unshakable resolve and an absolute certainty that you're going to be successful here. You might not know how yet, but you've got to make that decision up front. You've got to make that decision that I'm going to be here a year from now. You've got to make that decision that no matter what is going to happen, you are going to just keep pushing forward no matter what. So I would ask you, what are you doing right now to work on your mindset? What are you reading? Give me some books, guys. I want to know, what are you reading right now? You leaders that are out there, I want to know what you're reading. Go ahead and shout them out. I want to hear. What are the books?
Big Al's newest one from last week's training.
Okay, awesome. What else? What are you reading?
Atomic Habits.
Atomic Habits. Fantastic. What else? Got to be readers or leaders. You got to be reading on a regular basis. I know that life's busy. You got to dedicate at least 20 to 30 minutes to your personal growth and your personal development. Why? Because you'll never out-earn your personal growth, right? If you want to attract better people, you've got to become better. You know, network marketing, it is said, is a it's a personal development platform with a compensation plan attached to it. So you want to focus on, so I'd ask you, what are you reading? What are you listening to? And then another one, 3 Feet from Gold, fantastic one. Everyone's putting books down here. Pay attention to these and write some of these books down, you guys. What are you listening to on a regular basis? When you get in the
Mel
car,
Robbins. Mel Robbins. Mel Robbins.
Fantastic.
Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Good. I love it.
Dr. Aaron.
Dr. Aaron, there you go. I love it. See, what are you listening
Brown.
to? Les Brown. I love Les Brown. Les Brown is awesome. Feel free to put your books that you guys are reading into the comments in the chat section so that everybody else has some ideas and they can write these lists down. Right? There's a lot of great books that are out there. Jim Rohn's got some great stuff. Eric Worre's got some great stuff. There are fantastic mentors everywhere. Right? When the teacher is ready, the student appears. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. That's what it is. Right? There are mentors that are everywhere that are out there if you're looking for them. So,
hey, Travis.
Yes.
So there was something I wanted to share with you is that something that our team has started doing is every week we choose a member of the team to go out to YouTube and find a motivational video no longer than 15 minutes. And they post it in our team group and we all comment 3 things that really resonate with us. And we do that as a team collectively. And so everybody's getting that same type of training.
I love that. And I love that you're passing on that responsibility each week to somebody else as well. That's a great idea. I love it. So what are you listening to, right? What are you reading? So what are you doing to maintain that mindset? Because this is a tough business, right? It's not an easy business. And so you have to really work on your mindset. And the next thing, of course, is your skill set. What type of events are you attending or what type of books are you reading to follow up on your skill set? You know, Eric Worre has his recruiting mastery coming up. I think it's a 7-day mastery that you can participate in. There's all kinds of different events that you can plug into. Summer and I, early on in our career, made it a priority to go to the A&MPs and the GoPros and a lot of these different events. Why? Because we wanted to learn from people that had what we wanted, right? We wanted to surround ourselves with those people. We went on the MLM cruise on our 10-year anniversary. That's when we met Big Al. That's when we met Todd Falcone. That's when we met Jordan Adler and all these people because they were all on that cruise. So, we focused on networking on purpose and we focused on our mindset and our skill set. But I will tell you guys this, don't get caught into the trap of going to all the events, going to all the trainings. And there are professional students that are out there that go from one event to the next weekend mastermind here, then they go here, but they don't exercise and put into practice what it is that they learn. So it's very, very crucial that not only are you taking the time to learn the skill sets, but you're ultimately taking action. Because at the end of the day, the best way to learn how to ride a bike is professional spectators. The best time to ride a bike the best way to learn how to ride a bike is how? You got to get on and start pedaling, right? You might have to put on a helmet. You might get some bumps and bruises along the way, but you've got to take some time and just get out there and start getting business. You need to support a community. You guys all have amazing leaders, amazing teams. We provide umbrella support as well. Make sure that you're staying plugged in, that you're checking those groups on a regular basis, that you're watching the videos that are posted in your groups. If your team leaders are doing breakaway team trainings in the week, make sure that you're plugging into your team. We've got some amazing leaders. I mean, if you look at the skill set of just that's on this call right here alone, it's phenomenal. I mean, there's so many people that are here tonight that could easily just step up and start doing a training just like this and amaze you and wow you. So make sure that you're plugging into them. And finally, you got to be willing to do the work, right? You've got to, at the end of the day, you got to say, okay, this is where the rubber meets the road. How important are my goals and dreams, and am I willing to do the work? So those are the 4 things that you need to be successful in business. Now, I want to talk a little bit about getting motivated when you don't feel like it. One of the biggest deterrents to success is the would-haves, could-haves, and should-haves, right? One of my favorite quotes is, "Be careful, or you might end up shooting all over yourself." Right? You don't want to end up shooting all over yourself. So, and a lot of people do. You got to be careful. The biggest differentiator between somebody who enjoys a great deal of success and those who simply wish for it is taking massive action. Did you hear that again? The biggest differentiator between somebody who enjoys a great deal of success and those who wish for it is just taking massive action. You ever felt like you know, again, what to do? You've attended all the motivational events. You've been on countless training calls. You know what you're supposed to say when you call a prospect. But for some reason, when the rubber meets that road, you just got a block when it comes to getting that task done. Here's the thing that I've learned. Nothing will happen until you move. Nothing will happen until you move. You know, I've felt this way many times in my life. You know, I used to live in a world of health and fitness. We used to own gyms. We used to compete, train. It was my life for a long time, right? We owned a small health club chain and had multiple gyms here in Arizona. And I spent most of my time personal training or you know, just doing different things around the gym business. And it was crazy because when I left that life and I went in a different direction, I found myself struggling to get the job done in the gym. I know how to eat. You know, I know all the exercise routines. I know how to train. But I have to tell you that as I got older, it became a battle for me. I don't know what it was. But here's the good news. The good news is, if you're feeling demotivated, you can break the cycle. The secret is just being well prepared and knowing how to get yourself unstuck when you find yourself in these type of situations. You know, successful people, one of the first things that I've observed about successful people is they know what questions to ask themselves when they're feeling stuck. And as a result, they get the right answers. So I'm going to give you some questions. If you're struggling to take that massive action for whatever reason, you feel like you're in quicksand, I want you to just ask yourself a couple of questions. I want you to write these questions down because these are good questions to explore from time to time. So if you're feeling stuck, the first question that I would ask you to consider is, what am I confused about? You know, we naturally move away from things that we don't understand. We tend to avoid what we don't know. Yes or no? We do, right? If it's something that we don't know, we tend to move away from it. The key to moving past this barrier is to gather the knowledge and then go do the activity. Like Sherry Girl said, go do that activity over and over until you gain more experience. Because having the right knowledge will help you to feel more certain about what you need to accomplish. And here's the thing, experience leads to more competence. And you know, the interesting thing about that is, competence is the key to having more confidence. So the more action that we take, the more experience that we gain, the more competence that we gain, ultimately leads to more confidence. And what's the most attractive quality on the planet? Confidence, right? So what am I confused about? That's number one. Number two is, what am I worried about? What am I worried about? When we worry about something, our natural tendency is to avoid it altogether. You know, here's an example. What if I look foolish if I try? Anybody ever felt that way in network marketing before? I have. What if I look foolish if I try? Here's the thing. The mind immediately kicks in as this protection mechanism. And it says, yeah, you know, let's just avoid the possibility of looking foolish altogether, right? Let's just avoid the misery. Let's go shopping instead, right? Let's go do something else that's a lot more fun. I can't tell you how many times I've avoided doing something. I'll be honest with you. I'm terrible at golf. Like I would dare say that I'm one of the worst golfers that's on the entire planet. I have the worst golf swing. When I line up to hit a golf ball, I can hit a golf ball in directions that you would never even think that it's possible to hit a golf ball. People look at me and go, I don't even know how you did that. And it happens every time I go out to golf. Like my dad and my brother make fun of me. I have avoided golf so many times because I just don't want to look foolish anymore. So, you know, we do these things when we worry about how we're going to look. So these are two very common fears are, what if I look foolish? What are people going to think of me? Right? What are people going to think of me? I remember when I got started in network marketing, I struggled with this. I was one of those secret agent network marketers, you know, like the ones that I joined network marketing. I did not want anybody to know that I was a network marketer. Like I tried to conceal it. and hide it. Like, what do you do? Oh, I'm like a businessman that like works around kind of the marketing field that has like, I mean, I did anything you could to not say the words network marketing. I didn't realize it at the time, but I had like this super fear of what people were going to think of me. And I finally got to the point where I realized, what are you really afraid of? Because at the end of the day, if you're hiding, if you're holding back, it's like if you've ever tried to drive a car with the emergency brake on, like it doesn't go anywhere, right? If it does, it stinks really bad and you can't go. A lot of you right now are driving around with the emergency brake on. Like the fear of what are they going to think of me? It's holding you back. And eventually when I put the emergency brake down and I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm not just going to do this. I'm going to go all in. I got to be proud of being a network marketing professional. And I've got to just go out and do this. And when I finally made that decision and I started going all in, here's the interesting thing that happened. I did have some friends that made fun of me. I got started when I was like 29, 30 years old in this industry. And I had some friends that kind of teased me about, oh, Travis is doing one of those pyramid things, right? Especially 17 years ago. But now the funny thing is the ones that made fun of me, almost all of them have come back to me at one point or another and said, how do you live the life that you live? I want to know more about what it is that you do. That's a really, really cool feeling. I want to pause for a moment. Has anybody experienced that kind of fear before, or experienced kind of like the secret agent network marketer and struggled with that? Maybe has a story around that at all that they want to share? Go ahead. Feel free to just jump in if you've got anybody who wants to kind of relates to that at all.
I'm still a little, and I posted about this before, about product oriented. Even though I want to get people in the business, I always talk about product. And then I kind of wait until I get to know people first. And then, you know. I
understand. Pamela, you had something you wanted to share too?
Yeah, Denny, are you done? Yeah, I thought that I had decided that I was a professional network marketer until I realized that I hadn't decided yet. And I just posted in the comments or in the chat that it's really freeing to be able to just say out loud, I'm a professional network marketer and I don't really care what you think. And I have an opportunity that can help you. And it comes with a product and it comes with a team, and our team rocks, and it comes with the most personal development you will ever receive. And this is what I do. And I just I can feel it. I don't know if you can feel it, but I'm super convicted and confident and passionate about it because it's awesome.
I love that, Pamela. Sherry girl, how important is it to be just all in and let go of all those fears and just kind of be proud of a network marketer when it comes to recruiting?
You have to be a product of a product first. There's no way that you can go out there and share something if you're not taking the product. That's first and foremost. Then you have to be passionate about what it is that you're sharing. And you can't let your mindset, because your subconscious is constantly working overtime. That's the one thing when you were talking about the mindset training, what I kept going back to was the 2-day event that we spent with Eric Worre, and how he told us, look, you if you're not constantly feeding your mind with good stuff, then your subconscious is constantly going to take over and try and keep you in your comfort zone. You have to start with mindset training every day. I never reach out to anybody until I know I'm in the right mindset, because if I do, they're going to feel that energy, and they're going to feel from me my hesitation.
I love it, and I appreciate you all sharing. And first of all, Denny and Pamela, you guys, have watched you grow so much over the course of the last couple of years. And Sherry, one of the things that I admire about you is that you don't have that fear, that you just are all out and proud to be a network marketer. And it took me a while, just so you guys know, to get there. Like, I struggled with this the first couple of years, and I remember distinctly that finally because I avoided the question, I hate the dreaded question. Is this one of those things? Is this one of those network marketing things? And I'd be like people would ask me that, and I think I would get anxiety. Like, I would start to sweat. Like, I was just like, I don't even know. But I remember one time I looked back at them and I said, absolutely it is. I wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't. Like, I don't work on anything unless it provides a residual income opportunity for me and my family. I will never put my time and effort and energy into something that does not give me a residual opportunity. And I remember saying that back to the person, and they just kind of like were like, oh, and my response actually created more curiosity. And so now when somebody says that one of those things, is absolutely, I wouldn't even touch it if it wasn't, right? So it's just a different mindset, different confidence. By first acknowledging our fear, you can now begin to ask yourself kind of some different questions. Like, what's the worst thing can happen if somebody tells me no? Can I live with that, right? Who cares what people think about me? I can't pay my bills with other people's opinions, right? Can you? At the end of the day, what matters most is whether or not that I can provide for my family and whether or not that I can achieve my goals, that I can make a difference. But true contribution comes from true fulfillment comes from contribution. And I just realized some will, some won't. So what next? Sometimes all it takes is giving yourself a little mental pep talk. This allows you to override the fears that are keeping you from taking action. And if you find yourself saying, listen, I can't do something, but you know in your heart of hearts that if you do it, you're going to grow, that you're going to be a better person, it's going to contribute to your family or your kids or to something that matters, and you keep saying, I can't do it, there's no question what you have to do. You have to go do it. You have to go do it. You don't discuss it anymore. You just take immediate action. You got to go do it. You know, I always like to ask myself, what happens if I don't do this, right? We have this amazing opportunity here at APLGo. But what happens if you don't take advantage of it? Just out of curiosity. What happens if you don't seize the opportunity that we have in a company that hasn't even officially pre-launched yet? What happens if you don't?
Nothing.
Right? To me, that's my greatest fear, is to reach the end of the line and realize that I didn't meet my full potential. Somebody asked me, like, what is one of my greatest fears? I think that's probably it. So it's a great question because it allows you to weigh the odds between the alternatives and then make a sound decision on which consequence would be worse, right? So let's say you have an overwhelming fear of what people are going to think of you. And especially if you invite them to look at your APL business, that means that you're suffering from what many refer to as paralysis from analysis. So by asking the questions, what if I don't take action, and then even listing all of the consequences, look, I won't achieve my goal. I might feel like a failure. I'll get stuck in this dead-end career that I don't love. I won't, have any money for retirement. I'll be letting my family down. I won't be able to take the family vacation that I promised, whatever it is for you. It puts things into the right perspective. Let me check the notes here real quickly. Yeah, you do feel like you're doing a disservice if I don't share it. I couldn't agree more. You're going to sit on the tracks and wonder what just blew by you. I love it. I couldn't agree more. The next question that I like to ask is, what habits can I change? What can I change? You sit down, right? Think about this for a moment. Does this sound familiar to anybody? You sit down, say, I'm going to make some calls today. Like, it's my recruiting. It's time to get recruiting. Some of you are already smiling. You know where I'm going with this, right? Like, you know what it is. So you sit down, I'm going to make some calls. But then you have this little routine. Like, we all have our routine, right, that we go through. So, it's like this. It's like, well, got to get my coffee. I don't have my coffee. I need to go get my coffee first, right? So you go get your coffee, and you're like, well, I wonder who's emailed me today. So then you got to check your emails. Oh, my gosh, look at all. I got to clear my inbox because all these emails, they're not cleared. They're going to show up. So then you go through and you start clearing all the inboxes. And then it's like, well, I need to see who's over on Facebook, if I've had any notifications over on Facebook. And then now I got to update my status. Let me go look for a cute picture over here. Let me find a cute little picture. And there's this routine that we all have that we go through, every one of us. And then finally, you pull out your names list and it's like, oh, it's lunchtime. Got to go get some lunch. I haven't had any lunch yet. I'm getting a little bit hungry. So we go through this routine. And I tell you that we've got to really analyze that. You've got to really look at your routine. You've got to look at your daily income producing activities. We were talking a little earlier, Sarah and I, and one of the conversations we were having was, right now for all of us, I don't care where you're at in your business, 70 to 80% of your time should be focused on recruiting. I understand that we have a team, there might be a customer service issue over here, or, getting started training over here, or this or that, but that should really be taking up a small percentage, 20 to 30% of your time. 80% of your time, 70 to 80% should be focused on anything that has to do with contacting and inviting, following up, or giving presentations or collecting decisions. And for most of us, we have that backwards. We spend about 10% of our time actually focused around those type of habits. So you've got to change those patterns, right? You've got to change it. You've got to really analyze it. You've got to change it. The next one is, how will things improve if I act now? If I do take action right now during APLGo's silent, whatever, whisper campaign that we're in, pre-launch, all of those things, which, by the way, I talked to Kelly and Tina and I were chatting today, and this article that came out from Business for Home, it's posted, it's out there. So if you want to share that article, go share. It's good information on there. So it's already out on the internet. So if you want to go ahead and share that, feel free to do so. So how will things improve if I choose to act now? Very powerful question, because it's vital to have a crystal clear picture of what you want most in life. In other words, get real clear on the payoff. You wouldn't wake up in the morning and just start driving without knowing where you're headed, for the most part, right? Occasionally you might just get in the car, go for a drive, but for the most part, you're not gonna wake up in the morning, grab your car keys, get in the car and just start driving without knowing where you're headed. So why would you live your life that way? Think about why professional athletes spend tens of thousands of hours with practice out there on that field. They do it for the thrill of victory during the big game, the chance of winning a championship, the overall sense of accomplishment is worth the sacrifice. They constantly visualize what it will feel like when they achieve victory. It's one of the reasons why reporters ask Olympic athletes, was standing on that podium, everything that you imagine. The reality is, elite performers, they spend much of their life visualizing what it'll feel like when they do win. So what's it gonna feel like for you when you win? Not if, when you win here at APLGo, when you are making 10,000 a month, 20,000 a month, 50, whatever your goal is, what is it gonna feel like? I wanna know. Somebody tell me, what's it gonna feel like when you're able to declare your financial freedom day and you can do the things that you wanna do rather than the things that you have to do? How's that gonna feel? Anybody wanna chime in on that? I wanna know, how's it gonna feel?
Fan-freaking-tastic.
Hey, who else? How's it gonna feel?
Freeing.
Freeing, okay? What else? Who else? You got to get there, you guys. You've got to get to that place where you are visualizing this every single day, to know to visualize what it's like to wake up when you're done sleeping. Like, to not have to wake up to an alarm, get ready and get out the door by a certain time to get to a job. What's it going to be like to just wake up when you're done sleeping? And then your commute consists of you walking out to your garden in the morning, or walking into the kitchen, or walking into your office. And then having that freeing feeling of not really having to be anywhere if you don't have to be somewhere that day. To be able to create amazing life experiences with the people that you love and care about. What is that going to feel like to you? What's it going to feel like to you when you lay your head down on the pillow at night and you don't have to stress about a bill that is due, or somebody that you owe money to, or how you're going to make a payment tomorrow? Right? To me, I don't think that there is a price tag that you can put on peace of mind. That's my ultimate goal, and what I'm searching for, just peace of mind. What is peace of mind worth to you? And what is it going to feel like when you have enough residual income, breathing without struggling? What is it going to feel like when you have enough residual income coming in that you've been able to achieve these goals? You've got to, guys, when we define what it is that we want vividly, we begin to see a roadmap that will take us there. This includes the day-to-day mundane activities that will lead us to the promised land. You know, I'm a big fan of making dream boards. I'm also a fan of making itemized written lists of how your life will improve. Both of them, dream boards, yes, but a written list of how your life will improve if you take action. So for some of you that are struggling right now, you know, number one, dream board, but write it out in your journal. How will your life change? And the next time that you're struggling to act, pull out that list and visualize what it'll be like when you do stand on the podium with that goal, and you've got that goal, figuratively speaking. And the last question that I would ask you to consider, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? How about you guys? The dreams that have been placed in your heart, they're not going to come to pass without opposition. I'm going to say this again. This is so important. The dreams that have been placed in your heart are not going to come to pass without opposition. Sherry says, not bad enough that I'm not going to sit around. More than anything. Kevin and Sarah, I know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. The dreams that have been placed in your heart are not going to come without opposition. If you're going to reach your destiny, you have to have a made-up mind. If there's anything that I share tonight, that's probably one of the most important things that I could share. If you're going to obtain your destiny, you've got to have a made-up mind. You got to just decide. You got to decide here, today, now. I'm drawing the line in the sand. That's the old me. This is the new me. This is where I'm going. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there. Because if you give up after the first time, or if you give up at the first time that you have a customer service issue, or if you give up, the first time somebody in your business quits, or even the 5th time, or even the 25th time, it means you didn't want it bad enough. It's going to be honest with you. There should be something that you are believing for, that you are relentless. There should be something that you're believing for, that you are relentless. You're not moved by how impossible that it looks, how hard that it is, because people told you, no, your attitude is, if I have to believe my entire life, that's okay. It's okay. I'm not going to settle for average, because you can't be passive and indifferent at the same time. Can you? Can you be passive about your business and indifferent, passionate and indifferent at the same time? No. You can't be. When everything says it's not going to happen for you, that's when you kick it into another gear. Whenever there is doubt in your mind, some of you woke up with doubt today about, I'm not recruiting enough people, or I'm struggling, or I'm stuck, you have to kick it into a new gear. That's the answer. There is no problem in any one of your businesses that 20 new people won't solve. And I promise you that every one of you has the capability and the talent and the skill set right now to go find 20 new people. You can do it. Might be uncomfortable. Going out to the coffee shop and getting 50 new business cards and calling those people up and introducing yourself, that's uncomfortable. But could you do it? If I offered you $100,000 to do it, could you do it? If I offered every single one of you $100,000 cash to go sponsor 20 people by the end of next month, would you do it? Yes or no? Could you do it? Yes or no? I just want to know. What do you think? $100,000 cash, like it's just yours. $100,000. Could you find a way to go find 20 new people by the end of next month? Is there a doubt in your mind? Every one of you, right? You're all like, okay, show me the money. Right? Show me the money, right, Lori?
Yeah. Now that you unmuted us, you can hear us scream. No, just kidding.
Getting my butt in gear. So if you are, not qualified for whatever promo your team's running, if you're not feeling like you're not finishing the month the way that you want to, or October, listen, you got to kick it into a new gear. That's when you want it so bad. You have to want it so bad. Other people's opinions shouldn't matter of you anymore. I walked into a bar in Tempe, Arizona, and 21 years ago, and I saw what I felt was the most beautiful girl that I'd ever seen in the bar. And I told my friend that night, I said, listen, that girl, first time I saw her, I said, that girl, she'll be my wife. And he laughed at me. We met a short time later and we started dating, and she invited me to church with her family. Now, back then, just so you guys know, for me, Sundays were meant for sleeping in and recovering and for fun days. So, of course, when she asked me, I thought, no, I don't want to go to church with you. Like, that's not we're used. So church for me, Sundays were Jimmy Buffett and pool parties. Like, that's how we do it. So, but I lied anyway. I said, yeah, sure, I want to go to church with you. And I showed up bright and early to go to church. Here's my point. When you want it bad enough, you're willing to do whatever it takes. If you're willing to do whatever it takes. So I'll share a little story with you, kind of wrap this session up, and then we're going to get into it, getting started training. So it's about a man who wanted to know the secret of success. And he decided to find out for himself, right? He wanted to find out from this guru, this wise guru. It's a wise old sage who knew every single secret of life. He lived in this splendid isolation on a mountaintop. And this guy sets out on this difficult journey to meet this wise man. And he's determined to reach the top. So he had to go over all these different obstacles on his way. And he's fighting through thick forests, right? We talked about the jungle tour last time we trained, right? He's got to go through and create the path. And he's going over all these different obstacles on his way, fighting thick forests, scaling huge borders, escaping from wild beasts. And at last, he clambered to the peak and he laid on the ground and he's just exhausted. And he's laying there and he's gasping for breath. And a few minutes later, he sits up. And behold, the guru is just sitting right there in deep meditation. So he doesn't want to interrupt the guy, so he just kind of sits there and he waits. But an hour later, the guru opens his eyes and he glances right at the man. And he raises this eyebrow. And the man kind of stammers a little bit. He says, oh, wise, all-knowing seer, I came to you in search of the secret of success. And the guru didn't reply. He simply stood up and he just starts walking down the hill. So the man's like, okay, so he follows him. And he found it difficult to keep the pace with this old man who seemed to skip from one rock to the other, almost like a mountain goat. And they walked steadily for another hour, and he wondered if they were going back all the way to the foothills. And then suddenly they came upon a clearing, and in the middle was a clear lake. And the waters, I mean, they were still, glinting softly in the rays of the beautiful setting sun. And the guru walks up to the edge of the lake, and he tells the man to come closer. So with a gesture, he asked him to kneel down. And then unquestioningly, the man did. And just then, he feels himself seized by a strong hand at the back of his neck. And his head was forced down into the water and it was held there firmly. So he's thinking, okay, this is some kind of a test. So he sat still. A minute passed. Started to grow breathless. The grip on his neck, it hadn't weakened. Another minute crawls by, and now he's starting to get a little bit anxious. His heart's beating heavily in his chest. His throat tightened, his lungs screamed for air, and he struggled to get out, and the old man's grip became even stronger, and it pressed him even further down into the water. And now the man's in a panic. I mean, he's thrashing around wildly, trying with all of his energy to loosen that vice around his neck. And I mean, precious seconds passed, and he felt the strength literally ebbing away. And he thought he was going to die. And just as he was about to give up, the hand let go. And he violently leaps to the shore. And the man drew in his breath and he's taking these deep breaths and, delicious oxygen flooded his lungs and his vision had started to grow a little bit clearer. And the hammering in his throat slowed down and the hands stopped trembling. And he felt this deep anger. He stands up and he faces the guy and he says, are you crazy? You could have killed me. And the guru just simply stared back at him for a long moment. And then he speaks for the first time. He says, you wanted to know the secret of success. Here it is. Do you remember just a few minutes ago how badly you wanted to take that next breath of air? When you want success that badly, you'll have it. That's the secret of success. And without saying another word, he turned around and walked back to the hilltop. Bad as you can breathe. Guys, the graveyard is full of good intentions. But if we want to direct our lives, we have to take control of our consistent actions. It's figuring out what really matters to you. And if you're not certain of your principles, it's hard to set your priorities. If you're not certain of why you're doing this, it's hard to establish those daily habits, those income producing activities. You know what a top producer's day looks like? They have the right attitude, right? Here's some things that you might want to jot down. When it comes to their attitude, they always think, I'm going to have the right outlook daily. I deal with the same issues that you guys deal with, people calling and this person hasn't got their product or whatever the issue is. But you know what? I wake up every day, still with the right outlook. I put it into perspective and I maintain the right attitude. I might have my moments, but I always get myself back to center quickly. I focus on my priorities. I'll act on the things that are most important to me daily. Right? So it's my attitude, it's priorities, it's my health. I'll follow healthy guidelines daily. I find myself getting too far to the edge with my diet or not working out, and then I bring myself back. I've recently brought myself back. I'm in the gym again on a regular basis. When it comes to my family, I'll communicate with them and care for my loved ones daily. That's important to me. These are things that top producers think about. They're thinking. They're going to practice good thoughts daily. Do you practice good thoughts daily? Their commitment. I'll keep proper promises daily, including commitments to myself. I've made a commitment to myself and my family that I'm going to take those actions daily. Top producers, they think about their finances. They're going to properly manage their money daily. Their faith, whatever that means to you. I'll deepen it, live it out daily. Relationships, I'll initiate and invest in solid relationships daily. Generosity, I'm going to model kindness daily. Values, growth, I'm going to seek improvements daily. And then I sit down and I get busy. I get busy. So I think we're going to stop there for today. Hopefully there was something that was said tonight that kind of hit you here, right? Or even here, and you said, hey, you know what? I know what I need to do. I need to take some action. I need to kick this into the next gear, right? It's time for all of us to do that. And I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to open it up for any questions, thoughts, or comments here for the next just couple of minutes. And then in about 10 minutes, we're going to come back and we're going to change gears a little bit, talk a little bit more about launching your business, launching your network marketing business. So, any thoughts, comments?
Yeah, you rock. You absolutely freaking rock, and we love you.
You guys rock. Thank you very much. Anybody, any comment or anything, any stories or anything anybody want to share? Any questions or?
That was deep.
Awesome.
I have a really cool thing about the company. One of the ladies that signed up under us didn't get her RLX, and George asked her, like, what would you get if you could replace it? And she told him about her autistic daughter and what she would get, but she couldn't afford to. And he's like, that's what I'm sending you. So she called me in tears because of the difference what she's already gotten has made. And so that just compounded how awesome this company is.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually close out this meeting. You guys can log back in just a couple of minutes, same Zoom room. I just want to close it out so that the recordings are separate and different. And we'll get this recording up hopefully either later tonight or by the latest in the morning. And we'll be back in a couple of minutes. You still have about 8 minutes. If you've got any new team members that are on your team, this would be the time to text them and say, hey, got to get back on the string in a couple of minutes. You're not going to believe what you're going to hear because I'm going to bring the heat on this next session. So we'll see you guys in just a couple of minutes. I'm going to go get a drink. We'll be back here in just a few. You're welcome. Bye-bye.
See ya in a minute.